Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm sorry I missed you last weekend, but if you weren't following the community tab and you didn't already know, I'm going to be uploading videos every other week, just for the next few months, and this is mainly because there's a lot going on here these days. Between my kids still at home and learning, the fact that we just bought a house in France and I am decorating it and remodeling it from the States, which has been quite the process. And if you would like to follow along with that adventure, you can follow my new Instagram account at Maison Colis, and I'll leave you a link in the description. And the other thing I'm embarking on is a complete redesign of my website. So I really want to make sure that those recipes are easy for you guys to print and that I put the whole catalog up there. So I'm in the process of updating all of that. But if you'd like to keep track of when my newest videos post, the best thing to do is subscribe to my newsletter. The link is in the description, and that way you'll get my newest video as well as my most popular recipes delivered right to your inbox. All right, let me show you how to make this fantastic cake. So the first thing we're going to do is add 3/4 cup of softened butter in an electric mixer. Now, if you're in the States, I say to use salted butter because I just think it'll give you more flavor. If you're outside the States, I would use unsalted just because your butter is usually a little bit saltier than ours. Then you're also going to add 1 cup of just plain white sugar. In it goes. And then you just want to beat this up until it's nice and fluffy, at least 5 minutes or so. You want it really pale yellow and really light, almost like whipped cream. Then we can add the eggs. So we're going to add 2 eggs, one at a time, beating in between each addition and scraping down the bowl as needed. And then we're also gonna add 1 tablespoon of vanilla extract. I know that might seem like a lot, but I find that it's a really great flavor against the banana. And then you can set that aside while you mix up the dry ingredients. In this bowl, I have 2½ cups of all-purpose flour. To that, we're gonna add 2 teaspoons of baking powder and 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And then to that, you can add a ½ teaspoon of salt. And then we're going to add some spices. So I think what really gives this banana cake a lot of flavor is using 2 different spices. So we're gonna do a teaspoon of ground cinnamon and a teaspoon of allspice, which is a wonderful flavor combination against the banana. Now, if you don't have allspice on hand, you can also use a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves or a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cardamom. And then you can whisk that all up. Okay, so now we are going to add our dry ingredients just in thirds to our batter. 1/3 of the dry ingredients alternated by 1/3 of the sour cream, and just keep going back and forth until everything is incorporated and the bowl has been scraped down in between. Okay, so now we can add our mashed bananas. They can go in. Give them a beat. And then for a little bit of crunch, I think this cake is really good with a ½ cup of chopped walnuts. And we'll just beat just to combine them gently. Just a little bit. Just like that. Perfect. Then anytime I've made anything in a stand mixer, I also just like to go in there with my spatula and just give it a turn, just to make sure that there isn't any butter or sour cream that didn't really incorporate in the bottom of the bowl, because you don't want to wait until you actually pour it in your pan to see that, because that's how you'll get streaks in your cake. So, you know, streaks of like fat, if you've ever seen that, it doesn't really incorporate all the way. So just give it a gentle stir. Okay, so let's talk about our pan. I'm working with a 9x9 pan here. You could use a brownie pan, a cheesecake pan. I really love this one because it has the removable bottom. You can see there's like a hole in the center of it, which makes it really easy to release. If you don't have a removable bottom, you could just line your brownie pan with parchment paper and then put the batter in and then lift the parchment paper out. That also works. So make sure that you do grease your pan with some baking spray. So mine is all ready to go. And then we are going to put in our batter. This is a very heavy, thick batter, but don't let that scare you because the cake that it creates is so light and fluffy and delicious. You are going to love it. Okay, then you just want to smooth this out just so that all the batter is incorporated in all your corners. I think it's easier sometimes just to pivot the pan, right, than try to work your way in there. Once it's all smoothed out, I do kind of give it a shake and whack it on the counter just to release any air bubbles, and that way gravity will do its thing. Then we are going to put it in a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven and bake it for just 30 to 35 minutes, just until a toothpick comes out clean. So now for the cream cheese frosting, which is super simple to do. We're gonna add 16 ounces of whipped cream cheese. I really like the whipped cream cheese because I find there's so much air already whipped into it, you don't have to do much. But if you can't find the whipped and all you have is the brick, that will definitely work too. You just might need to whip it a bit longer to get the same lightness. Now for the powdered sugar. I definitely have a strong opinion about how much sugar to put into cream cheese frosting, and I am of the opinion that you should not add too much. I just find that a lot of cream cheese frosting recipes have a ton of sugar in them. I also find with desserts, there's the starring role and the supporting role. And in this situation, the cake should really take the lead. It's the sweetest part of the dessert. It has the most spices and the most flavor. So whatever you put on top of it should really just be to support that and take a bit of a back seat. So that's another reason why I don't add too much sugar to this frosting. So 2/3 cup of powdered sugar is going in. And then we are also going to add 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Okay, we're going to whip this up. Now, if you wanted to make the frosting a day ahead, you could just leave it right here in the bowl and cover it and pop in your fridge. I actually like to frost the cake right before I serve it because it's such a smooth and silky, delicious frosting that I love it to be just like freshly whipped. But you could definitely make it ahead of time, and then when it comes time to frost the cake, just take it out, let it get to room temperature, about 30 minutes or so. And if you wanted to, and I actually do this, I whip it up again just to make it really whipped and put a lot of volume into it. But at least you don't have to measure all the stuff out again. Now that our cake is cooled, it's time to frost it. So I like to just kind of get it all on here first and then smooth it out next. It's probably not gonna win any awards in the like best dress category, but I tell you, it'll kill it and the flavor is so delicious. It's more like a warm, cozy sweater you put on at the end of the day. Between that fluffy, flavorful cake underneath and that silky smooth cream cheese frosting. Be sure to subscribe to my newsletter. That way you can be the first to know when my new videos post, and I'll see you back here next time. Until then, bye.